Ladies and gentlemen, assembled guests, please stand. Their Excellencies, the Right Honourable Dame Cindy Kero, Governor-General of New Zealand, and Dr Richard Davis.
E honore he kororia he maungaro mo kirunga ki te mato te whenua. E whakaaro whai ki ngā tangata katoa. Aro haina ngā teina me ngā tuakane noho nei i mi te whakaaro ko tahi whai mai.
Please be seated. E ngā mana e ngā reo, e ngā iwi o ngā hau e whā, tēnei o aku mihi mahana ki a koutou. Nau mai hara mai ki te whare kāwana. Kia ora mai tātou katoa. Distinguished guests, it is my pleasure to welcome you all to Government House for today's investiture ceremony. I'd like to specifically acknowledge the Honourable Meka Whaitiri, Minister of the Crown, Mr Joe Harawira, Government House Kaumātua, Ms Puhi Wahine Tibble, Government House Kuia. Hosting investiture ceremonies is one of the most important duties that I perform on behalf of Her Majesty, the Queen of New Zealand. It's very special to bring together such an extraordinary group of New Zealanders. You have each brought pride and a greater sense of well-being to Aotearoa New Zealand through your outstanding achievements and your service to our communities. On behalf of all New Zealanders, I extend my sincerest thanks to you for all your contributions. After each recipient is honoured, I invite you all to join me in congratulating them. Ms Catriona McLeod will now summon the recipients and read their citations.
Your Excellency, Her Majesty the Queen, by royal warrant dated 5th of June 2000, appointed Emeritus Professor Vincent OSullivan of Port Chalmers a distinguished companion of the New Zealand Order of Merit for services to literature. By warrant dated 23rd March 2009, the Queen prescribed that a distinguished companion of the said order may elect to be redesignated a Knight Companion of the Order. By warrant dated 10th December 2021, the Queen approved the redesignation of Emeritus Professor Vincent OSullivan as a Knight Companion of the New Zealand Order of Merit. To receive the accolade of knighthood, Emeritus Professor Sir Vincent OSullivan, please come forward. Your Excellency, to receive the insignia of a Companion of the New Zealand Order of Merit, Professor Phil Butler of Christchurch for services to science, education and health. Professor Phil Butler has spent most of his career with the University of Canterbury Physics Department. He has led the New Zealand team engaged with groundbreaking particle physics research at CERN through the Compact Muon Solenoid Experiment. He's worked on the company Mars Bioimaging Limited, applying CERN's Medipix detector technology to create a colour X-ray scanner for medical imaging. He has had input into the design of the next-generation Medipix chip. He wrote a textbook on his PhD research interest, Rakar's Algebra of Many Particle Systems. He led his company Medical Laser Developments in inventing a copper vapor laser for treatment of port wine stain birthmarks. Professor Butler co-founded the National Science Technology Roadshow Trust and the Science Alive Charitable Trust and helped establish the Tekapo Dark Sky Reserve. Professor Phil Butler, please come forward. Professor Suzanne Purdy of Auckland for services to audiology and communication science. Professor Suzanne Purdy is head of the School of Psychology at the University of Auckland. Her research has impacted diagnostic and treatment practices in the areas of cochlear implants, hearing, auditory processing and language disorders, and communication disorders in autism. She helped instigate novel approaches to stroke and aphasia rehabilitation. Her electrophysiology research at the National Acoustics Laboratories in Australia resulted in the development and routine adoption of an objective hearing test for infants. She's contributed to the audiology and speech-language professions through 2-degree programs at the University of Auckland. She's been involved with numerous community organisations relating to speech and hearing disorders. Professor Purdy is Deputy Co-Director of the Esdale Moore Centre for Hearing and Balance Research and chairs the International Evoked Response Audiometry Study Group. Professor Suzanne Purdy, please come forward. Your Excellency, to receive the insignia of an Officer of the New Zealand Order of Merit, Dr. Ange Jury of Foxton for services to victims of family and sexual violence. Dr. Ange Jury has held every role with Women's Refuge, from volunteer to advocate, management, board member, and as current Chief Executive for the National Collective of Independent Women's Refuges, NCIWR. She led Palmerston North Women's Refuge and chaired the governing board for NCIWR operations. She's been instrumental in developing cross-agency collaborations. She has overseen development of improved data and collection mechanisms in the refuge sector and increased good practice and partnership with government agencies. She is a key stakeholder of the Joint Venture Business Unit and associated ministries for improving New Zealand's systematic response to family and sexual violence. She developed and coordinated family violence collaborations under the government's Te Rito Family Violence Strategy. Dr. Jury has presented her research to forums and co-authored several publications. Dr. Ange Jury, please come forward. Mr. John McIntosh of Napier for services to the legal profession. John McIntosh was a solicitor in Christchurch for 40 years and is now a consultant. He lectured at Christchurch Polytechnic, the University of Canterbury and Lincoln University on real estate, office practice and business law. He presented continuing education seminars for the New Zealand Law Society and has chaired a number of conferences. He established a practical training course for young lawyers and designed 2 courses for the New Zealand Law Society to help lawyers build their careers. He's been a member of the Law Society, served as Canterbury President, and still undertakes investigations on the Society's behalf. He advocated for the inclusion and advancement of women in the law. Mr. McIntosh has been involved with Rotary, Osteoporosis New Zealand, and the Canterbury Society of Arts Council. Mr. John McIntosh, please come forward. Your Excellency, to receive the insignia of a member of the New Zealand Order of Merit, Ms. Yvette Couch-Lewis of Littleton for services to conservation and Māori. Yvette Couch-Lewis led production of the Littleton Whakaraupo Whakaora Healthy Harbour Catchment Management Plan and chairs its governance board. She's involved with Department of Conservation governance groups for Karakia Karaka, orange-fronted parakeet, and Hoiho, yellow-eyed penguin. She was a member of the Waste Advisory Board and was appointed as Tangata Tiaki, Kaitiaki for Mataitia by the Ministry for Primary Industries. She now holds a Tumu Taio role aimed at supporting better council decision-making outcomes for Mano Whenua and for Environment Canterbury. She is a Ngaitahu representative on the Te Waihora co-governance group. Ms. Couch-Lewis has led riparian planting projects, including the Omaru Stream project at Whakaraupo. Ms. Yvette Couch-Lewis, please come forward. Mr. Hans Rook of Napier for services to wildlife conservation. Hans Rook worked with the Wildlife Service and Department of Conservation for 42 years until retiring and has continued volunteering. He spearheaded protection of whitebait spawning sites as a means of species recovery and has demonstrated the methodology in other districts. He has played a key role in the Ahuriri Wetland Restoration Project to recreate habitat for the critically endangered Matuku hurepo Australasian bittern. He is engaged with iwi and conservation efforts, particularly in the development of the New Zealand whale stranding network. Mr. Rook tutored in early trials of a Maori youth and conservation program and has advised on techniques to preserve bird pelts and feathers for weavers. Mr. Hans Rook, please come forward. Your Excellency, to receive the Queen's Service Medal, Mrs. Heather Lear of Auckland, for services to inclusive education. Heather Lear has a background in law and social work and has advocated to the national level for children with learning disabilities, especially communication challenges. She convenes the Inclusive Education Action Group and has worked as an education advocate with IHC and a senior disability rights advisor with the Human Rights Commission. She was parent representative to the Ministerial Advisory Group on the review of special education. She is a member of the collaborative group Education for All. Mrs. Lear held voluntary roles with the Wellington Community Law Centre, Wellington Montessori Preschool Trust, and New Zealand Dyspepsia Support Association. Mrs. Heather Lear, please come forward. The late Mrs. Betty Steele of Tapanui for services to the community. The late Betty Steele was a life member of the Kelso and West Otago Plunket Society. She donated knitting to Plunket, Starship Hospital, and neonatal units. She had assisted numerous groups and organisations in fundraising. She had been involved with the Country Women's Institute since 1946, including as president of the Kelso branch and with Moa Flat Rural Woman. She was a life member of the West Otago Vintage Club. She was a member and caterer at the Harriet Bowling Club and Harriet Golf Club. Mrs. Steele was an elder of the Presbyterian Church and a member of the local RSA. The late Mrs. Betty Steele's insignia will be received by Matthew Steele. Please come forward. Mr. Gary Taylor and Mr. Kevin Taylor of Katikati for services to the community and philanthropy. Gary Taylor and his brother Kevin Taylor established Taylor Brothers Transport Limited, now a fleet of more than 50 trucks. They have supported numerous non-profit organisations. They've sponsored Bay of Plenty Rescue Helicopter, Katikati Open Air Art, Surf Lifesaving, Tauranga Arts Festival, schools, churches, Scouts and Guides groups, Katikati Volunteer Fire Brigade and Life Education. They completed earth moving for the Dave Hume Pool, construction and extension of Katikati Medical Centre, and site works for the St John's Centre Development Project, all free of charge. The Taylor brothers both served as president of the Lions Club of Katikati. Mr. Gary Taylor and Mr. Kevin Taylor, please come forward. Your Excellency, the investiture has concluded.
I think I need to get the two brothers to sort out this system because you obviously can work out anything. New Zealand's honours system is our highest public affirmation of outstanding individual achievement. It reinforces those things that make our society better: service, manaakitanga, and the pursuit of excellence. To our recipients, it has been a privilege to hear of your stories. You have each used your talents and abilities to improve the lives of fellow New Zealanders. In doing so, you embody the spirit of the whakatauki, Whaia I te itu kahurangi kia tūhoi koe me he maunga teitei. Seek the treasure that you value most dearly. If you bow your head, let it be to a lofty mountain. I urge recipients to wear your insignia with pride at every opportunity, knowing that you inspire others by your example. On behalf of the Queen of New Zealand and all New Zealanders, I congratulate you on your achievements, and I thank you once again for your service to our country. Kia ora, hohi mai tātou katoa. Before we conclude the formal part of today's ceremony, I invite you all to stand and join me in singing our national anthem. That's the trick. To stand and join me in singing our national anthem in te reo and in English. The words are on the back of your program. Tu mai.